Hi everyone. Today we are going to discuss about Fourier transformation NMR spectroscopy. We know that spectroscopy is the study of interaction of radiation with matter. It imparts information regarding molecular structure and chemical property. We are familiar with different spectroscopic methods like IR spectroscopy, NMR spectroscopy, ESR spectroscopy, and many more. Today we are discussing about NMR spectroscopy. So, what is NMR spectroscopy? The full form of NMR is nuclear magnetic resonance. This technique is based on the absorption of electromagnetic radiation in the radio frequency region. The principle behind the NMR spectroscopy comes from the spin of the nuclei and it generates a magnetic field. When an external magnetic field is present, the nuclei is aligned themselves either with or against the external magnetic field. There are two types of NMR spectrometers: continuous wave NMR spectrometer and Fourier transformation NMR spectrometer. First of all, we are going to discuss about continuous wave NMR spectrometer. Before that, how NMR is recorded? NMR can be recorded by two methods. The first one is sweeping the frequency and keeping the magnetic field constant. And the other is keeping the frequency constant and sweeping the magnetic field. In this continuous wave NMR, we are employed the magnetic field sweeping method. That is, we are keeping the frequency constant and sweeping the magnetic field. The instrumentation of continuous wave NMR is given here. It consists of a magnetic field, probe, radio frequency oscillator, radio frequency detector, and a recorder. When we apply a magnetic field, protons get resonates and thus we get NMR spectrum. One of the demerits of continuous wave NMR is noise will be very high in the spectrum, so that we do not get the desired spectrum or we will get an unclear spectrum. Now we are going to discuss about demerit of continuous wave NMR. It is of very low sensitivity and development of good spectra in microgram quantity is very difficult, so that it is a time consuming process. Because of these demerits, continuous wave NMR has largely been neglected. To overcome this demerit, FT-NMR was implemented. FT-NMR. Then now we are going to discuss about the other type of NMR spectrometer, Fourier transformation NMR spectrometer. What is Fourier transformation? It is a mathematical tool or a mathematical operation which allows to transform data from time domain to frequency domain. That is, I of t is changes to I of nu, where I is the intensity. How the FT-NMR works? We are supplying a pulse. What is a pulse? A radiation of higher frequency is called a pulse. So, it is bombarded to a nucleus and all the protons get resonate at a time. Then the process called relaxation occurs. So, the relaxation of resonated nuclei is recorded as a function of time. All the data are connected to a computer. Therefore, to transform the time domain into frequency domain, FT or Fourier transformation is done. And we already say that a relaxation is occur. After the relaxation of proton, decay starts to take place. That decay is called free induction decay. We will discuss about relaxation and free induction decay later. Moving on to the next slide. It is the block diagram of FT-NMR instrumentation. Basic components of FT-NMR instrument are a radio transmitter, a powerful magnet, a glass tube where the sample is placed to get uniform magnetic field, a radio receiver coil, and at last a computer to record the data. We have already discussed that the two important or main process undergoes in this FT-NMR technique. They are relaxation and free induction decay. First of all, we are discussing relaxation. What is relaxation? It is nothing but the process by which an excited magnetic state returns to its equilibrium distribution. The relaxation process are of two types, T1 relaxation and T2 relaxation. Then we are going to discuss about T1 relaxation. T1 relaxation is also known as spin lattice relaxation or longitudinal magnetic relaxation or thermal relaxation. See this figure in the slide. After the RF pulse is switched off, the nuclei relax to its equilibrium condition. That is, the signal is oriented along the x-axis. After the T1 relaxation, we can see that the signal is oriented along or parallel to the external magnetic field B0. That is, it is on the Z direction. Look at this figure. B0 is the external magnetic field. In the Z axis, initially very low value of magnetization is recorded. Then after the time passes, it increases and the magnetization is equal to that of the initial or external magnetic field. As the signals are oriented in longitudinal direction, T1 relaxation is also known as longitudinal magnetization relaxation. As the nuclei get relaxed from higher state to lower state, loss of energy occur, and therefore T1 relaxation is also known as thermal relaxation. In 1960, NMR technique was employed with an external environment with crystal lattice. So, the energy gets dispersed to this crystal lattice. Therefore, T1 relaxation get the name spin lattice relaxation. We are moving on to the T2 relaxation. T2 relaxation is also known as transverse relaxation. Look at this figure. Initially, they are on in phase, and after the T2 decay or T2 relaxation, dephasing is occur. After switching off the RF pulse, 90-degree dephasing would occur. Nuclei will go to random phase approximation later, and that is given in this T2 relaxation figure. Dephasing is occur, and from this figure we can say that dephasing is occur in XY direction. It is occurring XY direction, that is in transverse direction. That is the reason behind the T2 relaxation get the name transverse relaxation. And T2 relaxation follows the first order kinetics. It is important to note that T1 and T2 occur simultaneously. Along with T2 relaxation, T1 relaxation also occur, and this shows that there are some additional processes that support T2 relaxation. Thus, T1 relaxation takes very long time. It is a slow process than T2 relaxation. Hope you get an idea about T1 and T2 relaxation. Then we are moving to free induction decay. The most important process that takes place in FT-NMR technique is free induction decay. So we already discussed about T2 relaxation. During this T2 relaxation, if we are placing a coil along the Z-axis, according to the Faraday's law, a current is induced along the Z direction. That is, an EMF is produced. So, it is nothing but When the dephasing occurs, amplitude is decreasing. That is, there will be an oscillation. And also from this figure we get that the signal is getting reduced. That is, decaying is occur. So FID is the combination of oscillation and decay. And in the combination of oscillation and decay, we get a damped oscillation, and that damped oscillation is called free induction decay. It is given in this figure, and we can see that the decay is like in exponential nature. We know that every exponential has a time constant. So this occurs in T2 relaxation. Here the time constant is T2. So this is how we get NMR spectrum. Then moving to the next slide. If the pulse is long, then we get a narrow frequency range. And if the pulse is narrow, we will get a wide range of frequency. It is clear from this figure. The advantage of FT-NMR over CW-NMR is that all the protons, or if we are taking a molecule having different nuclei, all the nuclei get resonate at a time in the FT-NMR spectroscopy. Whereas in the continuous wave NMR, at a time only one proton get resonate. Therefore, it is the time consuming process. Here, if a molecule containing one type of proton, we will get a single peak after FT. Or if we are taking a molecule containing different type of nuclei, we get various individual pattern or signal. Here is an example. We are taking ethanol CH3CH2OH. Its time domain graph is given. Then after doing the FT or Fourier transformation, we get frequency spectrum or frequency domain. We can see the individual signals here. Here comes the advantages of FT-NMR in sensitivity, good intensity, clear spectrum. It can be obtained with less than 5 mg of the compound. It has a widespread applications in low abundance radicals like C13, N15, etc. It facilitates high signal to noise ratio. It is used in engineering, industrial and medical application. Within short period of time we get the spectrum. Very dilute concentration, good spectrum is obtained. And that's all about the advantages of FT-NMR spectroscopy. Then difference between continuous wave NMR and FT-NMR. All the points written in this table is discussed earlier, and we are on the end of this session. In 1966, R.R. Ernst and W.A. Anderson published a remarkable paper on Fourier transformation NMR spectroscopy. This spectroscopy is nothing but that time domain spectrum is converted into frequency domain by a mathematical operation called Fourier transformation. A mathematical representation of this Fourier transform is given here, and we have already been discussed about the working and instrumentation of Fourier transformation. Two important processes occur in this Fourier transformation spectroscopy is relaxation and free induction decay. After the relaxation process, FID occurs, and this FID signal is digitized and stored in the computer for further data processing. The resultant is converted into a frequency domain by Fourier transformation technique. Due to the demerits of continuous wave NMR technique, it has largely been neglected, and nowadays most of the NMR spectrometers are of Fourier transformation technique. R.R. Ernst was awarded Nobel Prize contribution for the development of methodology of high resolution NMR spectroscopy. So this is all about FT NMR spectroscopy. Hope you all understand about FT NMR spectroscopic technique. Thank you.